When the charges were being leveled, there was a huge media campaign, all kinds of things were being said. Did you not feel the need to come out, say your case, explain yourself to people, and try, whatever was in your head, try and win the public argument, as it were?
No, I decided to wait for the trial to go through and it's sometimes nobody is even prepared to listen to you. I mean, I was not even the director of the company. And I had this so-called board meeting which they claimed, the charge sheet claimed that I had signed. I was not even there in that board meeting, and only based on that they arrested me. It was not me. I was not the director in the company. I could not make any decisions. But still, I mean, they went ahead and filed the charges, you know, and there was black and white proof documents that I was not part of it. But who would listen? Who was prepared to listen? So what's the point in even trying to explain, talk about it? So, I mean, I did, but I think nobody was, even you wouldn't have listened to me if I was going to explain it to you. And I remember a few months later, after the bail, you know, a journalist, she met me in court and she asked me, I'm so sorry, I didn't even know that you're not a director in the company. So that's how it was.
It obviously was a tough period for you in your life, and a period that you're recovering from and have left behind. And as you say, it seems to have taught you a lot.
Yes, it did teach me a lot. But then, of course, you know who your friends are, and that is something really beautiful, you know. That's something you can always cherish. People who stand by you during those times.
One of the other questions that bogs the DMK is the question of dynasty politics. From father to son to sister, potentially another son coming up next. How do you view, ma'am, this charge of, because we had, before you came, E. Palanisamy, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, and one of the things he said is that, you know, in our party, Jayalalitha ji unfortunately is no longer there. I came in, I took charge. The DMK is a dynastic party.
See, when you talk about our leader, M.K. Stalin, he's been in politics for 50 years. And it's not that, you know, he's become our leader overnight. He's worked as much as anybody else, and even more than that. So I don't think it's fair to, you know, accuse him of dynasty. And there are many of us, yes, I agree that in politics, but doesn't mean that we can be anywhere without the people accepting us. We also have to work. We also have to, you know, do our duty. And it is finally the people who have to decide that whether we are worth it and whether we can be accepted or we should be thrown out. I mean, they are the bosses. So if you cannot impose a dynasty on people. I mean, you can maybe do a party, but then people have to choose whether they want you or not.
You have a young son.
Yes.
Do you think of him as being a potential DMK leader?
My husband is a Singapore citizen, and my son is also a citizen of Singapore, and I have no intention of changing his citizenship. And now he's an adult, and I don't think he will ever come into politics, and he can ever come into politics legally.
I want to ask you about your love for poetry and writing and reading. You're amongst those politicians who has a very eclectic taste in reading, especially when it comes to fiction. Do you get enough time for reading, or do you miss it, or do you sometimes think, can I just give up politics and go back into my art, culture, society role?
Actually, one nice thing about the case was that, you know, I got a lot of time to read. Yeah, now, of course, during campaigns, I don't have time to read. It's a little difficult. But then, I think it's one lesson I learned from my father, that if you want to find time to read, you always do. And not as much time as I would like to have, but definitely I do find time to read. I mean, I cannot say I don't.